The narcissist hides from others, make no mistake. They never reveal themselves to be vulnerable. But how do they create these masks? Watch the video and I'll explain how. Hello and welcome back. I hope that you're all doing really well. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at how narcissists hide themselves from you by creating these masks. So why do they do it? Often because narcissists do not have their own identity, and what they want to do is they try and draw that identity or that part of someone from people around them, whether that's from friends, whether that's from, colleagues or their new supply. And what they do is, like you all know, they mirror and they take on that identity of another because they want that person or those people to accept them and see them as kind of equal, so that they are kind of accepted, they are part of that person. This will be so that they can convince you that they are so similar and a perfect match. And you see, this is the game, because once they convince you, they then will start to show you the manipulation and the abuse. Because what happens is you get comfortable with them, and this is the beginnings of the trauma bond. So you get very comfortable and they know that they have got you, and this is when they start to manipulate. And this is where the narcissist takes you on this roller coaster of emotion to feed their own ego and their desires. This is also used so that the narcissist will feel accepted, which fulfills basically their desire to be admired and validated. They never want to feel that they are not accepted, because what that does do is it brings up feelings of abandonment and low self-esteem that the narcissist would have suffered or felt when they were children. So it really brings it up for them. So that's why they work really hard at the beginning and at certain points in the relationship to basically not feel abandoned. And the way that they do that is, if they're really nice to you, they mirror you, they gaslight you, they love bomb you, all of this, so that basically they pretend to be someone that you want them to be. So the mirroring, okay, your personality to go on to manipulate you can feel like a huge violation of trust and almost like identity theft. You see, our identities, when you really think about it, are so integral to who we are and the way that we present ourselves, the way that we see ourselves, who we are in this world, okay? And it's almost a vulnerable part of us, because when we put out there our identity, okay, it leaves us vulnerable because that person can see who we are. And it's really hurtful that the narcissist would do that, would take part of you, part of who you are, part of your identity, and they would take it on and be you. And what they do is they then use it against you. It's certainly disappointing that such an individual exists, and that we were drawn and tricked into believing that this person is like this, all right? I think that's one of the hardest things. I think that's one of the most hurtful things, that somebody would do that. The positive out of it is that what we do is we see through it. We see through this act. We see through this illusion. We know that they do this and that something's not right. That they con us into this relationship while we're with them, and that we think that we have never met anyone so much like ourselves, but they cannot keep getting away with it. And for that, you should give yourself credit in realizing that you have started the very process of understanding and leaving something like this. You see, the mask to them is everything. They need to do that because they in themselves know that if you really knew the truth, you wouldn't accept them. You wouldn't want to be with them. That's why they do this to trick you because they need your validation. They need external validation. They can't self-soothe themselves and be able to make it all right. Like, they're not able to have that kind of introspection about themselves. So that's why they need others to be able to validate them and make them feel good. A lot of this is because of what they have felt in childhood. A lot of this is what they have been, you know, going through and what they have experienced, and they have no understanding. They think that everybody is like this because they've never been shown differently, they've never been told differently. So that's why they behave in this way. You see, narcissists don't have an identity. They don't know who they are, which is why they are very many different personalities in one. And this can seem a very odd thing, and it is, because you don't know who you are, and they constantly change. And so a lot of the time we don't really get a real essence of what this person is like. And I think one of the weirdest things, or one of the hardest things to kind of really understand, is that this person isn't who they said they were. They're someone completely different. And I think for us, that is a really, really difficult thing to try and get our heads around. But you know what? This is what happens, because when the narcissist was young, they didn't have anybody to show them and give them and be able to motivate them and enlighten them into developing their own sense of self, which is why they don't have their own, which is why they are not self-actualized. They're very separated from themselves. They're not connected to their inner being, to their inner child, so they're not amalgamated. So this is why it's all very fragmented, which is why the narcissist doesn't have an identity. They don't really know, which is why when we say they put masks on, they put masks on because they are pretending to be somebody else. They're acting, and it's not really authentically them. And I think, like we said before, over time you get to realize that, hold on, you said this, you're contradicting yourself. Like, it's not, you notice, you see through it, because you can't, your authentic self is always going to come out. Like, you can pretend to be someone else for different aspects of time, but you can't continue doing that. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So for the narcissist, this is why they move on. This is why they swap and change supply, because if people are seeing through it, then they need to leave. They need to go, because they don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to show their vulnerable side, because to them that means it's weakness, and they're not going to do that for no one. They don't want to be shown or be seen as weak. So guys, I really hope that this video helps you to see that how the narcissist creates these fantasies, how the narcissist creates these different personalities, or they wear these different masks. This is in fact what happens. They're not going to change. This is exactly how it happens all the time. And this is something that they are not going to learn not to do. So you can't change it. They can't change it. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, and if you would like to join a supportive community, why don't you join my journal club? All the details are in the description box. And also, just so you know, I do one-to-one work, so all the details are in the description box. Have a read over on my website. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.